for the commission. We are starting the meeting for the Canby Traffic Safety Commission meeting, both physically here at Public Works and also on Zoom to give everybody an opportunity. First thing is we should go around introducing themselves. As I said, my name is Bob Canberra. I'm the chairperson for the commission.
Eric Van Dant, member of the traffic committee.
Jackie Jones, member of the committee.
Clint Coleman, member of the committee.
Jerry Lezine, City of Canby.
Tracy Hensley, City Council President and Liaison.
AJ Miller, Canby Police Department.
Deanna Ballcar, Vice Chairman of the committee.
Mary Jo Meyer, I'm just a neighbor in the neighborhood. Elan Lang.
Gary Bryant, member,
Hold on, Jerry.
meeting at home.
Hold on. I'll catch up with people on the screen.
Okay.
Your neighbor in the neighborhood.
I'll volunteer to be citizen.
Okay, Gary.
Good morning. I'm remote. I'm here at home. Thank you. Nice to see all of you.
Brianna.
I'm Brianna Adada. I'm the planning liaison.
All righty. Anybody else on some screen or someplace that I didn't catch? All right. You know, I just, yeah, you know. All right. The minutes were emailed out to people a few days ago.
I'm gonna review them. I approve them.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the minutes?
I approve the minutes from the last meeting.
I'll second that.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded that the minutes for August 10th be approved. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, I see we have another person joining us on the screen. Jennifer, you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, good morning. I'm Jenny Driscoll and I'm a member of the Traffic Safety Commission.
Welcome.
Thank you.
We just approved the minutes. We will all now take, we have quite a few citizens here joining us, and thank you for all taking the time to come. Please know that we have a practice here, which is welcomes all citizens to come and speak to us and state their concerns. Our format is usually that we take the concerns the first month, unless it's something really specific that we can address right away. We will delay further discussion until the following month, so that gives people time to think about what they're going to say and actually go and visit the site so that you really have something for free. Usually we ask the people to keep their conversations down to about 5 or 10 minutes at the most, because we have a long agenda. So I'm going to go by the order of the people who showed up today, okay? Only for the sake of organization. So, Leanne, you're first.
Okay. I am from North Maple Street. And it's been 3.5 years since my first visit to the Traffic Safety Commission. I have had the benefit of having the Traffic Safety Commission work on my behalf. Bob Canberra, Mr. Coleman, Jerry, at different times have helped in different capacities for our need for safety on our street. And with Maple Street, we have a lot of growth, a lot of development. And with that, the country club also built a fitness center. Now, when all that happened, it all happened at the same time, and we continue to have more development. Okay, so what's happened on our street is mayhem, and it just continues to get worse. We had our first view of really what the reality is, because it's not COVID anymore, and so the country club was full bore, full speed ahead. The 7 acres is getting developed with houses. We have kind of hit the place where we could kind of see what's happening, and it's actually quite overwhelming. Now, I decided to come after summer, because if I would have come in probably 2 weeks ago, I probably would have been very angry when I came in. But anyway, through this, with all of this. Our road is inferior. It's rated inferior. Everybody knows it's inferior, but the county actually, it was a county road where we live. The farther out you go, it's city. Well, so I work with the county, and Mr. Canberra and I met with Martha Schrader and Mike Besner from the Transportation County office, and had a wonderful meeting. He came out and actually visited the site. He said, yeah, this is bad, very unsafe. So he tried to help as much as he could at the time. We ended up meeting again with Mike the spring of 2020, March, right before COVID hit. And at that point, he thought that maybe the road was going to be turned over to the city. And so he was trying to do as much as he could to help out. In May of 2020, because of all of the traffic from all of the trucks that were taking fill out of that development, my house flooded because we had a sinkhole in front of our house. So I lived in my RV, and Jerry was so supportive, and that I really appreciated that, Jerry. And anyway, we got through that sinkhole situation, but the whole time, you know, I'm sleeping with my head with the the development trucks going by all hours, and there were hundreds of trucks going by every day. Okay, so at this point in time, I went out last night and I took my camera. This was so fun. I should have done this before. Never thought about it. We've had this speed trailer. I just requested it because of school and buses. But it's very narrow where we live, and people try to walk there, and people don't stop or slow down. They just swerve around them at 50 miles an hour. So there is, I went out with my camera, and it was great because I recorded. So I stood out there just like this, and it was great because you could see everybody putting their brakes on. I had so much fun last night. Anyway, it was great, but it is very unsafe. We have buses, construction trucks, service vehicles. The country club, with more members and added membership, we have a lot more delivery trucks. We have a lot of everyone, and neighbors are culprits in speeding as well. But I did get a really good sound bite last night because this one guy had a race car that went by about 60. I was going to just come and have a multimedia presentation, but I won't. The conditional use that the country club has is because our area is R1. So they have a conditional use permit, and in that should be reviewed every year. I know that, but I don't think it has been. But you know, we kind of overlook that because of what they are to our community. Maple Street is a destination street in Canby, and with that, there should be pride in what our city looks like, how it operates, safety, and I communicate with Allison Griffin, who is the manager at the country club. She's been very supportive, and we kind of try to both have a concern about the safety. But since I've been working on this for 3.5 years, it's been really kind of a hard thing for us to be able to get out of the driveway. I had a garage sale. About 20 people about lost their life because there were people parked on both sides of the street, and nobody slowed down. It was just insane. So I think the summer traffic is worse. We kind of start slowing down a little bit right now. And then of course, you know, during about 3 months in the winter, it's not as busy. And so conditional use permits, though, are not supposed to present a traffic impact, no negligible traffic impact. We've been impacted. We've been impacted for a long time. And so I think there's so many things that are happening in our community, and on North Side, we're being impacted by so many. I see the one gal who's here today. We even had, not only have we had the flooding of the house, but when they took all the trees out over here where the forest did, all of the critters were there. Well, they had no place to go. Now, we got lambasted by tree rats. We had hundreds of tree rats in my trees because they like fir trees. That house that burnt over on Country Club, That's why. They were in our cars, they were all over the place. And so you need to know that this development and the way the planning department is planning things, they are not, no one's looking at the full picture. It seems like there's a lot of things happening for very few when so many other people are being affected. And I think that that's our concern. And I would really, Mr. Besner, when our road had problems, it was not Jerry, even though Jerry took the responsibility, but it actually was the utility company that came out to work on our street. And the way we got our road fixed to have it more safe, Mr. Besner from the county was the best advocate I could have had. Other than,
I've got you 3 minutes.
okay. Mr. Pembroke as well, and he is a jewel because of what he's done. He met with us many times and made sure that we were, they did a traffic study the summer that we were flooded. And I have all new floors. Crazy, it's wonderful. But I don't like the way that it happened. Anyway, I think there's a lot of infrastructure that wasn't updated accurately.
What would you like from us?
Well, you know, the one thing is Allison and I were, well, actually I contacted Allison and we wanted first try to get some signs up. We have a lull area where there's no 25-mile-per-hour signs. Nobody goes 25. We have 45, we have these big, huge trucks. See, if it wasn't the big, huge trucks and you just had the guys with the big, you know, those construction guys at the end of the road coming by with their trucks that are going, they want to go home. Or somebody's got their tea time, or those ladies are done with their fitness class, or you know what I'm saying? And it's not just 1 or 2 cars that come. We have, there's usually, well, about 6 vehicles a minute. Okay, let's do the math on that.
You're talking or both.
Both.
Okay.
And
I need for you to kind of, your time is up in 1 minute, so.
thank you, Bob.
Yeah, it was both.
Okay, yeah, got a sign. Temporarily, and I brought this, I wanted to show Jerry because Allison, I sent this to Allison. It had a golf cart on it. I'm thinking it'll be inclusive. Maybe some of those country club guys will go, hey, maybe we need to slow down. But I don't know.
Dogs are running too fast.
But this, yeah, I love this. Anyway, it says pets and people at play. And there's no school at the church there anymore. And there's two posts that we could take those signs down, maybe put something up like this. Maybe one other one down closer to the country club. But Allison said, you let you contact me, we communicate with, you know, where we'll open with each other. And she said, basically, it's going to take a speed bump or the road to be fixed for, you know, yeah, the signs are going to be great. Yeah, that's great. It's kind of a novelty item, but really what it needs is repaired. I thought it was budgeting already for this. But was I wrong? When they
Well,
gave it to the city, wasn't there something?
there's funding just to pave it,
Mhm.
but I don't know if that's what we want to do. It's just gonna make people speed and want to use it more.
Yeah,
We would like to, Bob and I have talked about this, we would like to get it.
So all I got was a shade flag. Was that all that's on here?
No, all,
It's not like there's no show or anything on here. There's no
Okay.
PowerPoint type presentation. It's just a polygon.
okay,
That's
now
all that
that's,
shows up.
I'll deal with it next.
Okay, yeah, there's just. I mean, I can open up the Google,
So
Earth
Elon,
works. but
I'm done.
you're at the end.
Showing
So
how to-
what are you here today?
to just remind everyone that we still are there and that our eyes are really giant. And those people go by really fast. And I would like to be able to back down my driveway. And I wanted to bring this sign in to see if maybe we could get something like this okay. It doesn't have to be this particular one,
Okay,
but the golf cart on there I thought was a nice touch.
thank you.
Yes,
So we'll put you on the agenda for next month
okay.
and you will have,
Oh, sure.
and so we will take that and respond to you by next month about signage, and maybe Jerry will have a month to contemplate what we can further do for that street, okay?
That would be really great. We would
Now, the
appreciate it.
plate that you were talking about, all of Maple from 14th down to the river is concerned. But the place that is most concerning for people when you want to go and take a look at is from Territorial down to, I believe, that's about 23rd or 24th down there. Especially right in here. This is a real narrow piece of road and people try to walk it and you can barely fit 2 cars there. The city does have, interestingly, on that road, the city already has easements all the way down the road. We just,
It's a good project, it's just not on the.
it's not on the priority list, and it was a county road for all these years. And the county did not want to prioritize making the needed change. So, okay, we will be back to you next one. Thank you very much. Sorry to cut you short. All righty. Lady, you.
If I stand up here and make a mistake.
You are here.
I'm Gail, and I think I timed this at 3 minutes so that I would not,
No problem.
Yeah. So I want to start by saying I really appreciate the work that you do. And I've been watching on Zoom or whatever. And you come well prepared, month after month, deal with problems. Thank you. I also heard last time, I think, that you like to stay ahead of the problems instead of dealing with them after they happen. So I'm here to talk about the traffic on Territorial and Pine Street. And
Vine Street.
Pine, and I have timed my comments to a minute for background, a minute for present situation, and a minute for proposed solutions. So I'd like a show of hands, if I may, of people that live near or on Pine or Territorial. Good, okay. And I've lived on the corner of Pine and Territorial for 15 years now, and I've watched some changes. I started at the Willamette Grove Apartments, and I would walk out my door, turn left, and greet the horses in the horse pasture, and then watch the chickens across the street. And the deer and wild turkeys would be crossing over. From my yard, I could watch the sun rise and set and see the stars come up. It was quiet. There was a noise ordinance, particularly at the apartment complex. Very little travel. And I thought I had died and gone to heaven. That was rural living at its best. Now, the pastures on both sides of Pine are subdivisions with 150 or more homes altogether and more being built. Translates to about 300 more cars on the road. Animals are gone, all of them. In our backyard, we now have a 2- and 3-story apartment complex with 60+ units. Translates to about 120 more vehicles entering the traffic on the Territorial. Because there's only one parking space allotted per unit. Many tenants are parking on side streets. There's a lot more parking on Territorial now than ever before. One man parked his motorcycle in his kitchen. The animals are gone, all of them. And we know that because when the digging began, the cul-de-sac, every house had an infestation of rodents. Many people killed them. We put them in have a heart trap and found a pasture for them to live and feed, but they're gone. We could no longer see the birds that used to nest in the shrubs and trees there, and we couldn't hear their song anymore. At the same time, Territorial became the new Highway 99. Why not? There's only one 4-way stop sign on Holly and nothing else until they hit the railroad tracks. So, souped up sports cars, big truck, motorcycles, you name it, it's on it. If they take 99, they have stoplights. They have to stop. There are more police present. There's no gatekeepers on Territorial. So that is the present situation. And I don't do PowerPoint, but we've got Birch to the railroad tracks.
Oh, good.
And Holly has the 4-way stop. Locust is getting really bad with the new housing going on down there. Maple Street is bad. Redwood is very bad, and I think I heard on that your last meeting that you're gonna put four-way stop signs there. Is this upside down? Okay, and then all the way to the tracks. So here they go. From 4 o'clock to 4:30 in the morning, I wake up to the sound of traffic. And it's because of the new fire stations, we also hear the emergency vehicles. We've got more proposed building and supposedly a lovely little dog park everybody wants, but anyway. I need your name. And well, let's see, I have a blow up of this. I forgot anything. Okay, here's my corner. And I've got pictures that I did like you. I went out to stand there to take a picture of the 5 cars parked, but I was there 1 minute and there were cars going back and forth the entire time. I've got it on camera. When this all started back with the I can't remember what they call them, but the 2 housing developments, and then the proposed trail crossing 1, I went to the city council meeting to talk about the traffic then and was told, don't worry, we've done traffic studies, everything's fine. Okay, so they park here now, they park up and down Pine on both sides, and I've got a really good picture to show you. Yeah, you can have that too. But, okay, I'm going to pass this around. There's a stop sign in that picture. See if you can see it. Oh, God, I guess I'm doing the angry one. Right. I'm a performer. My paradise of 2007 is no more. Horses have become houses. Houses have brought traffic, pollution, and noise. I feel like I'm living in downtown Manhattan. Emergency vehicle sirens day and night, nonstop traffic from 4 in the morning until late at night. Vehicles from large trucks to souped up sports cars to motorcycles, aggressive speeding drivers, noise. We have a bird bath in our backyard and it vibrates. The water does. Exhaust fumes, suffocating, toxic situation. And I would like to just pass around for you to look at. This is the parking at the cul-de-sac where we live. And then my last comment is, it's the traffic from the new housing. But we have another problem in Canby. The housing that is being built, the housing that has been here is no longer affordable to people who are working class or seniors. I cannot pay $1,700 a month for rent. I make $1,000 on my Social Security. I have a part-time job for a little bit more. But we have 3 families. We have 6 cars in each units of our cul-de-sac now, because 3 families live in one house. Here's my first pass on territorial, and then this was and that was 1 minute. And then this is my second pass, which was when we're having the fires last. I thought, let's see, it was like Saturday morning. I thought I'd take 1 on Friday, went back for 1 on Saturday, and was going to go back for 1 on Sunday, but it's the same thing all over. Thank you. Here's my proposed solution.
Yeah.
A solution. 4-way stop. And I know I was told, wait a minute, what traffic lights? Well, that's fine. I don't care. 4-way stop on. We've got the 1 on Holly. We're going to need 1 on Locust, 1 on Maple, 1 on Pine, and on Redwood. Very dangerous. You cannot see around those cars that are parked. I have to just inch my way out into the middle of the intersection to be able to make a turn. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm not angry. I just.
Wow, that's okay. I live on Pine by the fairgrounds and I have to go out to territorial, so I understand your pain.
I
Not wrong.
commend you for your thoroughness of your presentation.
Yes, thank you so much.
Like you said, our format is we will, next month, unless there's somebody who has a dire comment. I fully appreciate it. I live on North people up by the park, so but my wife and I walk that area repeatedly, very much appreciated. Yes. Okay, moving on, I believe, Lorna, Lana.
I'm gonna stand over here so I can. And Gail sort of said what I came to say, so I'm not gonna take too much time talking. I live near the corner of Pine and Territorial also. If you don't mind me standing in back of you. And what I would like you to do is paint, I don't know if you have her sign or if you can put it, oh, there you go. Maybe I should stand over there.
Yeah, or I can move the screen over there if you want.
She can, all the frustrations that are related. I have a whole high profile car, so when I'm in my high profile car, which is a Volkswagen van again, I'm up about 6 feet. I come out of here and I want to turn left. I cannot see what's going on down here because this corner is not painted red. This street needs to be painted red back at least as far as the first street light. I have to creep out into the bike lane. By the time I'm out in the bike lane, these people that are coming this way from the east are getting a little pissed with me because I'm sticking out there. They're trying to turn down this street. Excuse my language. The bike lane used to be next to the curb, but and it's some sort of tacit acknowledgement that there's more traffic and more cars in that neighborhood. The bike lane was moved out so people could park along Territorial, which is what they are doing. So by the time I'm out here, speed limit's 30 miles an hour. People are going at least 35. By the time they see me, if I should happen out there to turn left and put their brakes on, they will have run into me, going at least 35 miles an hour. Because when you put your brakes on, you're going to go 30 feet, 35 feet. By then, they will have been driven through my car. It's damn dangerous. So please paint this red, put a stop sign here, put a stop sign there, and control that traffic for the good of the neighborhood, for the safety of myself and my family. Paint the other one. Yeah, paint it from the stop sign. Paint the other one when you turn right, because when you're turning right, yeah, this is it right here. When you're turning right, going the other way, right here, right there, there's James's house. People are parking here. I can't see around those people. This needs to be red all the way down, at least to the bus stop that was just put in there recently. And you know, there are traffic studies done by the planning department, so-called traffic studies, and they keep poo-pooing. Oh yes, you haven't reached capacity yet. There is ozone, there is noise, nonstop noise. There is vibration in her bird bath. And her house is like 60 feet away from the road.
Sorry.
One space down. House, the stop sign, you can't see the stop sign because of those. Well, that's the other thing about it. That corner, where's Pine Street? Look over here. This, come on now. You're getting vertigo.
There you go.
There is that damn truck. Picture even, you know that picture where you can't see, she says, where's the stop sign? You can't see it. And if he's not parking there, 2 or 3 other cars are parking there. The other thing, just as I'm leaving, the Scott company built some of these, that thing and this in here. I asked Tom Scott one day, why don't you make garages big enough to put cars in? He said, it's the code. It's the code, watershed. I said, why can't you make more space under these houses? So when the television guy comes around and the plumbing guy comes around, they have to go down in a little hole that's only 18 inches big and crawl around on their tummies because there's no space under the house. He said, it's the code. Watershed. They don't care about the users. It's not user friendly. That's off the subject. If you put spaces around, and put some stop signs in there, that's my original.
Okay. Thank you very much. I appreciate your that.
No.
Yes, sir. Yeah, certainly I've heard of it. Moving right along, we have a lot of energy. Yeah, we have one. But moving right along, Mary J.
Mary Jo,
Mary Jo.
yes. I'm here because I live right behind Knight School, between Knight and Eccles in 52 apartments that are at the dead end road. My problem is 3 times last month, coming across the street in the crosswalk, I was almost hit. The last time I was just like 2.5 feet from the guy's bumper. He was coming in front of the school. He was the second car in the line of 3. The first guy went straight, and I could see standing on the corner that he was fooling with something in the seat next to him. So when he started around the corner, I assumed that he had seen me. Stupid thing. Because when he come around, he not only was probably still looking at something in the seat because I could not see him looking at me. I screamed, "Christ!" Just like an idiot, but that's the only way I did. And he stopped about 2.5 feet away from my hip. And then he made the what class act statement. I didn't see you. I said, why were you looking? And then he started giving me this. I said, oh, forget it. Just watch. But the other thing that I have a problem with, and I know what that feels like over there. I have been in those apartments, and I walk religiously up and down in front of that school because I like to walk. So I have this little pattern I go through, and I always start out in front of the school. Sometimes I have been there when the children were coming with their grandparents, their mothers, and there's more than one child that she's with. Not only the one she's taking to school, but she has to return with them. And I can't tell you how many times I've watched people go through the stop sign. In the middle of the road, they stop to make this person run with children that are screaming because they're terrified they're going to be ran over. When that happened to me, I have to tell you that I felt like throwing a rock right through his window. Maybe he could have seen it. The only thing that I'm passionate about is there's 4 stop signs there. It's only been yesterday, I watched a woman come from the railroad track through those stop signs. How many she stopped at, I don't know, because there are 3 there. She come to the corner of the park and rolled around the corner. She didn't even try to stop. And that happens a lot at that 4-way stop. They do not stop. I brought my vest and my whistle and my stop sign today because I want you guys to know that I'm about ready to stand out there and help our dear gentleman from the police department try to get these people stopped. And I don't know if I'm stupid or not, but sir, I'm ready. We'll deputize her. No question about, is that where there was a child victim?
Yes.
Several years ago, I believe.
In fact, they died.
Yeah, I think it was fatal. Is there, do we have a flashing cross?
There's only 4 stop signs.
One at There's a push button crossing up here.
Is that something we can discuss?
It's right here. We put in an ADA ring, or right here. So you did a bump out and it's a push button flashing across to get them across there. That's the,
But that's in front of the school.
yeah, it's correct.
And I have to tell you that walk,
Fourth is the, are you talking about Fourth Avenue, the four-way
I'm
stop?
talking the four-way stop where the park is.
Right here?
Right here.
Yes,
Okay,
and I was hit on the 4th Street side, almost hit there. I was in the middle of that crosswalk. But what I've noticed is that sometimes teachers park up under the trees, especially coming to the city. They can't see it if the car is very big because the stop sign is not seen because the vehicle blocks it till you're right on top of it. And regardless of that, there's still a four-way stop there. You're in front of a school. Everyone with a brain should know that is not a place you speed through a stop sign. And I'm not the only one. There's been mothers with babies in walkers, strollers. And it's almost heart-stopping to see what people try to do. And it's not been too long ago. I think it was at the 1st of August that I happened to be walking down the street. And some young kid come across going from this way in the city instead of this way. He was going this way. Ran right through it, straight down to like Ivy Street. He didn't stop at any of it. He just straight through. I know that officers have been there because I've seen them. And if I had my way, I'd have a red light every time they go through. They'd automatically get their license plate. And I know that's expensive, but I'm really scared since that little girl was hit. And it was in the morning that she was hit trying to get across the street. So I'm sorry for being passionate, but I know, well, I know, but when it happens to you and you're 2 feet from there, and there was also another time when I was walking toward the tracks in front of the school. I had waited and I thought the whole intersection was clear. I started and a car come up behind me on the left, rolled around and waited till I got just far enough. I felt his bumper brush against my skirt. I could not hardly believe it. I just went ahead and walked because there would have been no reason for me to have even addressed. It's terrifying to almost be hit by somebody that's not watching. And we don't have any control over anybody that's in a car. You're assuming that they're intelligent enough to do something about it, but it's still scary. And I don't know if anybody standing out there with a stop sign or with a bright vest on would change it. But I'm not afraid to do that. I used to work the flagger on the road, the highway. We had to stop semi trucks. They at least paid attention.
Do you wear a colorful vest when you walk? That's what we do, especially going into the fall. Because we're out early. That's good job.
That's how right it is. They can't see it if you're standing there. I don't want to take anything without, I don't want to act like I'm an authoritarian out there, but I'm really upset because children are valuable, they're our future. And I know that everybody understands that. I can't imagine why it's so hard to stop long enough for a person to get across the street.
Well, not only the children, you're valuable too. So your life should be worth everybody paying attention.
Well,
So
I think it was last year that there were a lot of grandmas that I saw taking care of children. I think it was probably because a lot of the mothers had started trying to work after COVID had kind of settled down a little. And I remember this one day, the grandma was even screaming, hurry, hurry, he's gonna hit us. And it was terrifying. I mean, these poor little kids, probably 2 or 3 or 4 years old, were almost beside themselves trying to figure out how to get across the street. But
thank you.
you're welcome.
Appreciate your presentation. Please come back next month.
Okay, I'll try to.
You can also join us on Zoom. Well, but you're welcome to come back,
Thank
okay?
you.
And I honestly see it across. for a while. That's
Did they used to have, sir, do you know if they used to have crossing guards there?
I don't remember them having their, I've been working nights for a long time.
Yeah. They only have them, I remember at night because my children went the night in front of the school,
Uh-huh.
crossing guards there, but I haven't seen one there for
Well,
years.
I don't, I wanted to make sure that you guys understood that terror that I went through the day that guy almost kept me. I was so scared, I almost passed out, and I didn't want to do that. But,
I can well appreciate that. I mean,
and then for him to say, I didn't see you, it's like, I said, why are you driving?
there's a lot of, I'm sure the officer will talk, there's a lot of people, what is called distracted driving. My Subaru sitting out there has this huge screen that does all kinds of fancy things. And it is very seductive into taking your eyes off the road and paying attention to what you're doing. And
Well, I think what-
unfortunately, people don't turn off their phones to.
Oh, I
when
see
they're
a lot of
driving.
people go up to the stop signs there with a phone in their hand, pushing buttons with their thumbs, driving.
Yes. It is bad, but we will have further, people have time to think about it over the next month and maybe hopefully we can respond to you. Okay?
Does the police department have any problem with somebody being out there with, do I have to ask permission to do that?
No, absolutely not. So for the crosswalks in particular, we actually have grant money that comes from Oregon Impact. And we actually do crosswalk operations. So we have a pedestrian decoy. that we put out there.
Well, I wondered if a person showed up out there with a vest and stop sign and a whistle and had to use it a few times, if maybe that would maybe get this under control a little more.
Or does that mean it have to be under a controlled circumstance?
Well, it's not gonna be under control until somebody realizes somebody's watching you.
The only problem with that would probably be a liability aspect.
Well, I'm not gonna walk out in front of somebody I think is intentionally gonna do it.
Yeah.
But it is possible that you can stand at the side with a stop sign and a vest and a whistle. And when they start through, you can at least blow the whistle.
Just be selective about your.
Like,
And leave your bag of rocks at home.
yeah, I'm not gonna bring me any rocks, I promise.
But
It is a problem.
I think Jenny's.
I can appreciate it myself. My wife and I do a lot of walking around town, in our morning walks, and trying to cross the street, you have to almost be challenging to cross. I mean, and it's kind of sad.
There's a lot of people from the neighborhood that walk up and down in front of that school every morning to wherever they're going. And they come back around on the other side on Ivy Street to go home.
Jenny, you had something to say?
Yes,
I
Jen?
was just going to say, with regard to raising awareness about the fact that they are crosswalks and people are paying attention, I know because I've heard over the past 2 decades from other people, lots of other surrounding communities will have the police out to give tickets to anybody who does not stop at a crosswalk when somebody is standing at a crosswalk. If you're standing at a crosswalk intersection and you are facing the street, the cars are supposed to stop, is my understanding of Oregon law. And that if you drive through that crosswalk when somebody is standing at a crosswalk, if they do or don't intend to go, that you are in violation of Oregon's rules. Officer, is that correct?
That is
That- Okay,
They had a, excuse me, but they did have a sting operation here a couple of years back where they
Guys,
put somebody, they planted them at an intersection, they watched for traffic and they watched to see who was stopped. Obviously, it didn't have an effect on anybody other than those who got tickets.
But if it happened periodically, and I certainly would never say I'm going to
Well,
make any strong recommendations about how anybody uses their time with our police force, but you know, if somebody did occasionally come through and you know, maybe you see school hours or occasionally at dinner time or whatever, that happens periodically, people might pay more attention.
I need to keep the conversation, okay, because we've got a long agenda yet. And I'm sorry to be a bully,
It's okay.
but, you know, next month, we will have a conversation on this topic. And so that we can build time in to make sure we cover all of these things real discipline wise, okay? And I appreciate everybody's comment, but I've got to keep the agenda for it. People start leaving the meeting after a while. And I don't want that to happen without us covering all the things that need to be covered. All of the citizens that came, you're always welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting. And we appreciate your comments and your time. I take it all very seriously. So thank you. All right. Public Works, we had one other person who came last month. We gave it. And what we were going to do was schedule the digital speed wagon for Locust Street area, but he wanted to delay till school started so that we could get speed data on that. So
It's not the speed wagon, but our counter, right?
yeah,
Okay, yeah.
the digital speed monitor.
So we need to put that up
We
now.
need to put that up. So Spencer wasn't here, so I was.
Where does that at? Where does that go up again, Bob? I'm trying to remember.
Between, on Locust, South Locust, between Fourth and Township.
And I think it was more like by the park area, right around that area.
No, he lives in.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, between Ford and Township.
Yeah, it's where he lives at. But, I mean, he was concerned about all of them.
Yes. So
Yeah.
we need to monitor the speeds and
What we put that
the
as
cars. That's kind of a narrow area, but it's got a lot of apartments too, you know what I mean?
Yep, I'll get that done.
So he's scheduled to come back next month. So we would like to have the speed data done now for 2 weeks so that I can have it calculated and presentation input. Is that okay?
No problem.
Okay. Whole business. Moving along. Enterprise, we talked about, I'm gonna remove it from whole business because Enterprise, I believe, is starting to get the cars off their neighborhood. And Second and Third Street and Enterprise are gonna be part of the transportation study that we, as priority, we're gonna try to deal with that when we talk about that. We've on street parking and everything, but regarding Second and Third Street, I'm curious if Public Works has had a chance to play the intersection of Grant and Second and Third Street going up there, the 4 intersection corners. And also the red in front of the apartment buildings on Third Street.
I followed up on that and Elm, but not the other one. We painted Elm, South Elm between. And Spencer told me this morning the red paint was done in front of the apartments over by the Sort of Lutheran Church, but I did not see that myself. So,
Okay.
what was the third one?
The other was intersections, on Grant and Second and
Right.
Third.
Gotcha.
So that there's viewing on all 4 corners.
Oh, that's gonna be the developer.
Yeah, but we were gonna at least paint so
Yeah.
that there's no parking, so that the people turning from Grant onto Second or Third can see right now that it spins around this whole issue about how much parking is allowed and how much is required of developers so that having on-site parking as opposed to not spilling. You see it all over the place.
Oh,
you know,
It's coming back to me. So yeah, Grandad, yeah, right by the funeral home, by the funeral hall, that we were gonna,
illustrate it. And I think they started,
follow up on that.
okay,
Should
next item is CIP priorities discussion. I'm gonna delay that till next month unless there's something that anybody has any comments with right away. Okay. The reason I want to reserve the time is for this other discussion, which is night bridge work. Jerry, you want me to explain it or you want to jump in?
No, go ahead, Bob.
Okay. As you know, we had the county person come and talk to us about the future needs of the Palau River Bridge, which is right, the bridge that's outside of on High Bridge, going out, one of our main entries and exits into Canby. And they had identified that this bridge needed a lot of work, seismic upgrades. And they were, at that point, they were just contemplating, they hadn't any timetable. Well, they sent out a notice recently, and I think I shared this with you folks, right? I sent an email. It talks about targeting the repair work for summer of 2023. Now, that sounds like a long time off, but that's not a long time. That's within a few months now. Well, and so they're anticipating, I think it's a closure of the bridge completely for up to 5 or 6 months. Traffic exact will be here 4 to 6 months. The bridge will be closed completely and not available for any traffic. What we need to do is, and I think Gary is going to be planning to form a county, city communication and action committee to figure out how do we communicate and plan for this closure. All right.
I would like to, Bob, set up like a time frame when we would like to start this committee from this group.
Yes.
Like, when do you want this to be in action? When do you want to start on it now? All that.
I think we need to start it as soon as possible. Okay, no later than January. You know, as soon as we firm up the dates with the county, that this is their target. You know how sometimes projects get pushed back, you know, instead of getting people all upset. I mean, we need to have the target. If it's firmly summer of 2023, then terrific. Then we can kind of, you know, have 4 months in advance to kind of let people know and they can start to. plan.
99E is starting soon, so it's gonna be continuous for the next 2 years, but it's gonna be night work.
Okay.
But just imagine, Night Bridge brings in, on an average, I would say, I'm making a wild guess, between 2,000 to 4,000 cars
Easily.
a day.
So Bob,
And it could be way more than that.
I'm gonna put for the first week in January to get on my calendar, to get in touch with you to start
I
this.
think we should talk in December.
Okay.
To target the meeting for in
The
January,
first week.
okay? So maybe the second week in December, you and I should talk about organizing a meeting time and things like that, okay?
Yep, that sounds good. I'll put it.
Something I'm really concerned about is what our detour routes are going to be, because it is an incredible amount of traffic.
Yes, and I think that's the reason why we need to have some meeting. All traffic, I'm not a brain here, you know, but I know that there aren't that many entryways into the city. And if you take anywhere from 2,000 to 6,000 cars and you have to reroute them. They're gonna come over the Malala River into 99. That's the only way I can think of this. Pardon me? Well, whatever, but they gotta get across the river first. And there's only one way to get across the river unless you go way out into the never land.
Well,
And
all you gotta do is go down to Aurora or Barlow during commuter hour traffic, and you're gonna see a backup now.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be an absolute nightmare. I don't, you can forewarn people all you want. You are gonna have a nightmare, and it's gonna be right here in our backyard.
Yes,
Well, and the part of our backyard that's most affected of people going through Canby is going by our elementary schools.
yes.
So that really is just another thing for us to be aware of and see how we can mitigate it.
Right. So I need for you guys to.
Could set up a toll plaza. That would discourage people from coming through.
No, they'll just go on the side streets. That's why we're gonna have more traffic on 99.
Go get them, Ginny.
About this, we'll have it on the agenda to talk about it for next time, but I need for us to start seriously looking at this concern. Because it's not a 1-day shot or a 2-day shot where you can just stay home that day. It's gonna be, not only traffic coming into Canby. I know for myself, I use Knightsbridge to hook up to I-5. We exit that way to go out road and to come around and so that means if I want to go on I-5, I'm either going to go to Oregon City now, the opposite way, or I'm going to have to go down over the Malala Bridge and go all the way out that way. You know what I mean? So that Malala Bridge is going to be just inundated with traffic. And that means people are going to be even more agitated,
And aggressive.
aggressive, and da 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 da.
Well,
You're gonna have an accident out there, and they're gonna spend an hour and a half investigating the accident. You have no idea how much traffic's gonna be backed up on I-5 and both ways, north and south.
Okay,
about 3 weeks ago, 3 weeks? Yeah, I think it was, there was an accident that it looked like it was before Art Road, but was actually at Art Road, so they diverted traffic. And there was
Mhm.
on 99E that were doing U-turns, trying to go to the north side of town, trying to go Knightsbridge Road. And the road was closed because they didn't alert people ahead of time. In the future, when accidents and stuff, it'd be nice.
well, I'm just saying, you're right. And we're just gonna have to preach, be nice. Because it's gonna take a lot of patience and to go through what I would consider, this is gonna be a major problem. And we're gonna have to face it. I was gonna use other words, but I decided to be nice.
I was just gonna say too, I think, the Canby Herald could be a big help once you develop
Yes.
your plan, informing people.
Yes.
And, the internet, maybe that.
That can be heard.
And we'll involve our social media.
Yeah.
Yes, and I think-
It's awesome about fairgrounds because we're talking about summertime. And so you got a lot of fair members that aren't around here. Yeah, so the fairgrounds needs to be.
And it's gonna be dead, it's gonna be dead in the middle, but you guys out here are gonna be dead in the middle of this project.
Did you guys see that we had Knightsbridge close Saturday from 1 AM till noon on this last
I
weekend?
heard about it.
And it was a rodeo going on, fair stuff, they had some fairgrounds. We got through it, but it was,
Yeah, but remember, that was one day,
yeah, it was not.
and so we're gonna have, not to preach.
Yeah. No, well, we'll start on that, like the first weekend, maybe you and I get together early December, start figuring out a plan of who we want on this.
And you guys, we'll put it on the agenda, if you guys have insights, not horror stories, but insights as to who should be on the committee. I appreciate that. And I'm trying to be calm and about this so that we can focus on planning. and getting a plan in place, so that we can cope with it. Right? Instead of, saying it can't happen. I just want to remember, just keep in perspective everything, okay, which is, if this bridge doesn't get repaired and it falls, then you're not gonna be out 6 months, you're gonna be out 3 years. As opposed to doing it deliberately, we get it repaired and we're back in business. So, it's everything is put in perspective, okay? In other words, do a cost benefit analysis of a problem. The positives and the negatives, and figure out, okay, let's move forward. Okay, not preaching. On the agenda for next month, so that we have some move action, okay? Any other questions? Any other comments?
I just wanted to say, kind of, in the lead up to the meeting, maybe we could do a little bit of fact finding with ODOT. If the project gets pushed much past the kind of early summer start, I would imagine that they need to try and do work like this in the drier months. So if they aren't able to start by a certain time, does this get bumped out to the following year, or are they able to do work during our rainy season?
Well, that will be good questions that
Yeah.
we like to get answered.
Okay, cool. That's all. Thank you.
All right. Moving on to new business. It's not written into new business, but I would want to bring up, last month I talked about the red flex system and its use in Canada, okay? And for those who don't know, the red flex system is a computer traffic monitoring system, and it's used in many cities around in Oregon. Typically, some examples are Woodburn, Milwaukee, Sherwood, Tualatin, Beaverton, and it's used to monitor illegal turn on the red. Cars who are liberally continuing their turn, even though the light is red, because they think their mission is more important than the rest of the world. It also monitors speed. We have, I believe I sent out to you folks a copy of a study that was done in 2017, thanks to Clint's efforts. And it monitored the traffic and the illegal turns on Highway 99. My humble review of that report, did everybody see it? I sent it out.
Oh, yes.
My humble review of that report was, it was terrible back then. But for various reasons, the city chose not to implement the red flex system at the time. I think it is time for us to revisit the red flex system in Canby. Okay. It is also the appropriate legislative time to do it, because for you to use it on 99 is one thing. To use it within the city, where you can have it to aid police officers, so that, we only have a limited number of police officers, and despite what people think, they cannot be everywhere at once. And so this would help with monitoring things. You need to get legislative approval from the legislature to get on a list to be able to use this red flex system within the city limits. So I think it's time for us to actually request, even if we don't use it now, to request legislative approval to get that on the books so that it can be, at some point, can use it if it so chooses. I think our traffic system is getting overwhelmed, and we need to have people be nice. And the only way they be nice sometimes is if they're held accountable for their behaviors. I don't want to make money on this system. I just want people to get no tickets That means everybody's driving. So,
Bob, could I ask a question? I watched the reflex tracking system with great interest, and I totaled up the amount of crashes that they indicated happened. There was 92 of them. What I'm curious about, were any of these reported to the police? Were these the people have to report an accident to their insurance companies and to the DMV? Were in fact any of these accidents recorded?
I have no idea. I've tried to call Red Flex repeatedly, and I'm having a hard time getting the person who's in charge in Arizona to call me back. So having that logistics issues, but that was a report given to the city at the time. So, Tracy?
Be something that this committee would need to come up with a presentation and ask for council. Because this body doesn't have the authority
Yes.
to go. to the legislature.
No.
So, I would suggest putting it in a pretty package and bringing it to the council. Ask there.
I'm just starting to groundswell, trying to get some interest to see if the commission needs to approve it, the concept, before we prepare a presentation.
So I make a motion that we prepare a presentation. It's 2 months in a row. When we talk.
I second that.
Yep.
Okay. All right. I will put together a presentation and bring it back next month for here. Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you, thank you. It has been moved and second that we prepare a presentation on this issue. Is all those in favor, say aye.
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 Disapprove? Thank you, Tracy. I will try to put something together and bring it back next month for the commission to look at, okay?
One more thing.
Yes,
I think out of respect, I would recommend that our presentation, we go to the police department and run it by the chief and before we would run it by the council.
certainly. Yeah. If I can all get it done, I will run past. I certainly will keep Officer Miller in our liaison involved.
And one other additional thing is I would say, one of the things I'd like to try to tell the police department on and the chief is inviting Red Flex to hang their cameras in the same locations to see how the behavior has changed. And then that, I firmly believe, would point out the problem's gotten much worse. And then I think that would help sell the idea of pursuing this further.
There's two things that I think are advantageous right now for us. One, I think if you drive down 99, I believe some of those cameras are still up there. You know, if you drive down and really look at the overhangs, I believe the cameras are still there. Whether they're functional, I don't know, because that's a long time ago. I believe the cameras are still there. Secondly, one of the concerns that was raised, I don't know if it's true or not, was that every photo that is taken of a violator would have to be reviewed by a person from the police department to certify that before the ticket could go forward, okay? But in recent legislature has switched that to say that now it doesn't need to be a certified police officer. It can be a certified civil servant who can be trained to review the camera image and certify that that was a ticket. So it could be not as detrimental, involving for the police officers to be able to process those things. So I mean, that's a positive there to make it possible.
And so that also brings us up to another point that could help and an answer to another thing is the answer regarding the code enforcement officer part-time and position. Got an answer and it's 100% out of the police department. And there is 2 slots if city council approves the budget. One for code enforcement, one for evidence. So then evidence could review it, or code enforcement could review it, or
Yes,
however that works, so that could be the answer about.
I mean, the review is a choice of law enforcement. I mean, they do it presently in all these other jurisdictions, and it's very successful in a lot of jurisdictions. But the concept of pushing forward with it, I think our city traffic, as we've seen, is massive in all places. And it's really difficult for our police officers to be everywhere, despite their efforts. And they have other business too. There are other law violations that are going on that they need to deal with aside from traffic. And so there are methods here that can help to cope with this situation, you know? We should seriously think about it. Anyway, I will endeavor to try to put together a presentation and then bring it here for you guys to see the draft, okay?
Good.
Proceed forward. Is that okay? Thank you all. City staff reports, please.
So for August, we had a couple people that were, a couple full-time officers that are field training officers. So we're training a couple new guys right now. So the citation numbers are a little bit down. We had 168 in August for total traffic citations. We had 9 DUI arrests. Total traffic crimes, this includes like hit and run, reckless driving, and DUI. I think they were all DUIs that were arrested. We had, let's see, a total of several crashes. Most of them were at parking lots. And to note, I think one of the more serious crashes was on North Ivy and 3rd. That was a T-bone crash. There was airbag deployments on that one. A couple crashes on Southeast, Southwest 13. And then there was a crash at Southwest First and Grant, 99 Grant. A lot of the citations we were writing in August were for cell phones or distracted driving. There was quite a few driving uninsured citations, speeding and seatbelts, and then there were some field away traffic control devices. It doesn't say where they were at, if they were at Pine or not, or 995. If you were talking about, but citations were a little down, like I said, because we had a few people in training, and not as many. When we're training the guys, they obviously are trained in traffic enforcement, so they're doing traffic enforcement, but at the same time, they have to be able to, respond to other calls and experience other things besides traffic. So traffic is a little bit kind of lower than what it normally is last month. So
Are you gonna in the future send that?
is that, do you want me to send it to the group email?
Yeah,
Send it
or
to-
you can eat your choice. You can either send it to me and I will group email out because.
Okay, okay, I can do that.
So it's just up to you.
Yeah, no, you can decide to send it to the group.
Yeah, and then that way we will get the, because I know Eric wants to report about his efforts. We were gonna start to have a system.
Yeah, I got close to it.
Okay.
Do you saw that one information on this? No, okay, all right. So, unfortunately, I did do the work. It was in Google Earth Pro. We couldn't get it pulled up here. So now I'm gonna redevelop it in, probably Maps, and so hopefully next month I'll have an actual map of it.
If you bring your computer in too, I could have an HDMI plug
Okay,
if you wanted to do that.
all right, I'll see what I can do, okay. I'm also getting the information, it's similar to his information. So I did include fire and talked to Matt Dale at the fire department, got traffic accidents with injuries, pedestrians, and one other category since the first of the year. Had all those mapped out along with your priority street. So hopefully next presentation I'll have that. You saw the first draft, but I'll work on that again, that have more information. So when you dump that out to everybody, I include the police reports also
Okay,
in that, so we'll see it overall of fire and police.
The goal is obviously more information is better. On the- If there starts to become pattern, and one of the patterns that officers make them, and you're saying the same thing, is a lot of minor traffic accidents occur in parking lots. Like Fred Meyer's or whatever, big parking lots, people back out, or come in and they don't pay attention and they cause an accident. But there are other accidents too. And we want to see if there's targets and they start to be a pattern so that we can look at what happens, you know? That's our goal.
yeah, in my experience, the minor crashes happen in parking lots and the impaired driving crashes are the ones that are shrill roads in town, where people are injured or airbags are deployed. In my experience, a lot of times they're impaired driving.
Can I ask you any questions? Do you find that South End Road and 99, is that an area that you get a lot of calls on for accidents?
So state police will take those, we'll help them every once in a while if there's a bad enough crash. We oftentimes will get driving complaints coming from Oregon City, so southbound on 99. We'll get a lot of people following reckless drivers, or getting into Canby or impaired drivers. That's very common.
Palau and 99, is that a problem section or not too?
Kind of the same thing that I just talked about. There is crashes there that we help out state police with, or county if it's on Barlow Road. But with the kind of traffic that's through there now, with Barlow Road getting backed up from traffic from I-5, people turning left at that intersection, going north on 99 is an issue as well.
That's a real,
To answer your question, based on the mapping that I saw, South End.
Yeah, I think ultimately a long-term project would be trying to work with the county for a stop light there. I think that would be a good idea. Because that's a problem here.
Yeah, a little bollard project in Morris. Yeah.
I mean, you can see how this kind of data is important to start to plan, you know, the target, especially getting police officers in,
That's
you know, where the major kind of problem is, you know, I mean, 99 is blind, they're blind.
Well, we had a tolling meeting with ODOT, county, all of major stakeholders, the mayor was there, yeah, that's on the radar. That intersection, all of those intersections are being looked at, yeah. They took city county input for Mike Besner and stuff, so it's being looked at.
Well,
I don't think it's gonna be done, but it's being looked at.
yeah, I mean, I just know how much trouble it is for us to even put in a four-way stop.
It's a lot of work.
But okay. Any other questions? And we appreciate your attendance. Sure, thank you very much. You can see how this is a very significant issue for this city. Okay, planning department. Brianna, how are you doing?
I'm good, thank you.
Thank you.
Let's see, I'm looking at my project list.
Yeah,
On October 10th, there's going to be an annexation and rezone at Planning Commission for what we're calling Trail Crossing 2, which is on Territorial and west of Redwood. Again, it's just the annexation and rezone. It's not any sort of development, but we're kind of anticipating development applications will come after that annexation. So that,
It's next door to the apartments that already just went in on territory.
Okay, that deal up there.
yeah, south of the Eco Park.
Okay,
Next to the logging trees. Yes.
Let's see, there's an open house for the dog park on September 28th. And in November and December, we will be going to City Council to look at comp plan, TSP, and UGB consultant scopes. So just have that in mind that is still moving forward. Again, a lot of the comments towards the planning department kind of come from policies and regulations in those documents. So again, we're keeping on top of that process and we're looking forward to it coming in the next year.
I know there's a lot of people who would be willing to join any study group that's.
Yep.
Or that issue.
We're not quite there yet. We're still looking for consultants who will then kind of work with us to form those study groups, but absolutely, we'll keep that in mind.
All right. Anything, any other questions or thoughts from the group?
Question. Did city council okay the open house for the dog park?
We asked for an open house to actually have there.
Okay, okay,
It's scheduled and we're putting together a presentation.
because I was watching the meeting, I just got confused.
It was a little,
Yeah, it wasn't like a formal, make a motion, make a vote, so
Okay.
just like, yes, please go forward and make
Okay,
some things so we can get the public's input.
So this isn't,
For our consensus.
so this isn't an open house for the dog park. This is an open forum
It's,
on the
it's
dog
gonna
park.
be.
it's at the council chambers.
So we presentation. Historically, these things have been done with, easels and pictures
right.
and proposals
Okay,
and then people can put their input
okay, so this is to get public input
on the proposed.
on the proposal. Okay, I'm sorry. As opposed to an open house for the dog park.
No, it's not done yet. This is
okay.
still very much in the planning stages, so we're letting the public input.
To help to get to start further design, we need public.
Okay,
That makes
so anybody who has concern,
show up.
show up.
And the city council meeting on the 21st is also.
20
to show up.
21st.
The 21st, the city council meeting, another opportunity to,
And what month is that?
this month, this next,
September 21st.
yeah, first, and third Wednesdays are our meeting.
Okay,
do we need to address the, with consideration of the road, consideration that one young lady at the very end of the meeting presented, about how that's signed, the road is signed right now, no trespassing. And the road is- Yeah,
We've actually.
do we need to, or?
Well, I'll let you know where we've been through pre-app with the county and pre-app with the city. And we've altered the design a little bit and met
Okay,
for their
For where it's
equipment. Where it's at currently on our access road. And then the signage, that would be going into the design, the signage would be moved down. We would, with the four-way stop going in, is kind of good timing, I guess, because it'll be ahead of this, so that.
I just didn't know if we needed to address it first, or make it covered there.
We always encourage traffic safety commission's input on any type of safety issues, so if you want to go out there and look at it, right now it's kind of chaos out there.
Yeah,
But the city will be addressing that.
let's come, okay. Anything else for planning? All right, moving on to public works, that leads right into that.
Yeah, I just did a work, sorry, I was on my phone, I don't want to forget, we got a work order to move the traffic counter to Locust, Rhonda's on it, so we're gonna get that done. And then they confirmed they did the striping in front of the red paint on South Grant by the church, but we're making a work order to finish the intersection of South Grant.
Second and third.
Second and third site distance. Okay. That's pretty much.
And
I have a lot of projects going on,
Yes.
getting all that stuff, so if anyone has any questions about what's going on, I'm here to answer questions.
I have two questions.
Okay.
Regarding two-year projects. One is the four-way stop here at Territorial and Woodwood. I see that they're doing tremendous amount of work. Is part of moving the telephone, the power poles, they're gonna work around?
The sidewalk, the power poles do not impact the project at all. The sidewalk fits great, the street lighting, everything. The reason they're working so far back is we had conflicts with utilities, we had to move the storm. Storm line is what they're digging on right now. And we're getting that in, so we don't have to rip up our sidewalk.
Completion, tentative completion date on the four-way stop? Okay,
It's
Thanksgiving.
My only comment is, you know, we talked about, and I know it isn't in the project right now, but flashing warning light on red, on the four-way stops. Signs for people,
Out here,
when you have a four-way stop,
we did not put that in. the
I know.
contract. And, but I did order, Rhonda ordered one for the, if this helps, for the fairground stop over on by the train depot.
And
We ordered one, so that's on the way, but no, there will be pre-warning ODOT standards set up of pre-warning devices to let people know that it's a new four-way stop. There's an actual spec for that, and it does not include flash four-way stop. They will not let us do that. Those could come in later. So,
Before the end.
before January, I would hope that would be in before January. But we combined all the projects together, so they're gonna be moving around as they pour concrete and stuff like that. So I can't give you, I'll try to have a firm date by next meeting.
in Locust Street,
Locust Street is, they're trying to hustle, to get the storm line in, and that's why, I don't know if they're gonna do this. They might do the concrete work with Locust, so that's why the four-way stop might not go right away. So once they get that, they're gonna get set up for concrete, they're gonna go over to Locust, they're gonna start pouring that out right when they're done with the storm, and then all the concrete will be poured together.
so Locust sidewalks in repaving.
Yep, sidewalk on one side of the road, parking on both, full reconstruction, new sewer line, everything from 4th to 10th. They're also redoing the old livestock gate, Maple Lane, that goes into the back. They're putting a new sewer line in and repaving that street. And they're doing some sewer work over on North Birch. So all that is combined into one project. And so they'll be jumping around, so it's hard to nail it down. So early, so I apologize.
Any other questions for public?
let's get it on this side.
Yep.
Pine Redwood from 99 to Township, when is that gonna be done? And the plates that are all over 99.
Okay, so the plates on 99E are Northwest Natural Gas, and they are upgrading the gas main before ODOT starts their project.
Okay.
The other question you had, Tracy, what was that?
They're paving between 99 and Township on Pine/Redwood.
Oh, that's all done.
It's all done.
Yeah,
And what's it?
from the fire station around by Kim Utility.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're done, and they did Redwood up here,
Okay.
Pine. Now, and
Let's check through the work quite done. It's like.
it was chaos.
Yes.
It's concrete treated base, it's just a rough go. I dreaded doing it, got it done. Now,
Okay, good.
what's left is striping.
So
Yeah, that they were starting to put
Yeah.
a part of it, the little reflector cap and things, not part of it.
The stomping, the temporary marker.
Yeah, and it was by the fire station, but down closer to the school wasn't done yet. so.
Yep, we're done paving, working on striping. Ivy Street, you're gonna see Public Works out there a lot, where they're running power with Canby Utility. And then when the undergrounding's done, we hope to start on putting that out to bid and reconstruct Ivy Street.
So my applaud Public Works, they're doing some big major projects that are really beneficial to the city. At the same time, we already have other projects that are needing to, but we gotta remember, let's get the ones that we can get done eliminated so that we can then focus.
Yep.
Any other comments for Public Works? Moving right along. City Council liaison?
The only thing I can think of to talk about, and they have to talk about it, so I apologize. But one thing that we can kind of put out of our brains for a little while is the traffic impacts of Amazon, because although they do still own the property, that project is on hold. So that rumor was, yeah, they still own the property, but they're reassessing their needs in this area. So the project is on hold indefinitely. And I'm right in saying that way.
Yes, you were correct.
I wanted to make sure I have all my facts straight. So yeah, we don't have to worry about the traffic impacts to Amazon for a while yet.
Can you tell us about the status of the old library and the old city hall?
The old city hall is getting a new roof, and in fact, they might be getting close to done on that project.
I have not been following that.
Okay, they had roof out there recently, and that. Don't know the exact tenant, but it is being worked on. As far as the old library, the OC Brewing project, the building's gutted and they're still moving forward. I don't know exactly the status of it. Brianna, I know more than I do on where they're at with it. I do know that there was a city location that crashed into, I did that, compare that, so maybe that was part of the delay in them moving forward here, I'm not sure. So, but both projects are still going forward. And Brianna, do you have anything to add on the, Candy your library?
I don't, it's still being reviewed by Ryan, actually, so that hasn't been approved officially or anything like that. It's still in process.
So,
Okay, thank you.
I'll ask for Bob. Anything else for me?
I wanted to follow up on one more thing, left till Bob gets back, but Rhonda just ran out and checked on it to make sure, but all the site clearance have been painted yellow on Grant and Second and Grant and Third. And there's actually a car parked in front of the yellow paint right now on South Grant that she says.
Probably
Okay.
That's what I wanted to ask about later. Since we added the red, people decided they can park in front of yellow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Officer Miller heard that.
Since there's no one from the fire here, I guess we'll skip that. Anyone got anything else for Tracy?
No, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tracy.
And then I'll go down to board members' reports. This morning, I saw an interesting thing. A girl was going to, I'm assuming, the high school, and she just decided to slow down near American Steel, but did not stop at the stop sign. And I gave her a good look when she turned in front of me and realized that was just a kid, but I do believe, I don't even think red flashing would help. I just think people are like, oh, no one's there, I'm just gonna slow down, and that person's stopping, because I was stopping like I normally do anyway. But I know at that intersection, because it's American Steel, the cemetery's there and stuff, and I know 9 years ago, there was a big wreck the day that we were burying my dad, because there were no stop signs at the time, and after that accident, the stop signs came, which the stop signs are great, but people aren't using them. I'm just worried that what if it would have been like someone that doesn't stop too, and they both are kind of like cause a scene. I don't know if there's a way to get people alert with like lights on the stop sign, if that would help or what. I just don't know with all the traffic. And I know now with school going on, I'm kind of concerned just because there are young people driving. I had a friend of mine's son died almost a year ago. And his brothers would have died if he didn't help with the incident, but someone was passing in a no passing zone, another kid. And my family, people are impacted. So that's why I take it very seriously when people aren't following the rules. And I don't know if our schools need to do something with like just replanning out, like have an assembly or something to kind of bring up awareness, like have officers speak or something. But just people thinking that they can slow down at a stop sign instead of stopping doesn't make sense.
Question. So, it's been a while since I've been to the high school. We have a resource officer.
We do right now.
Is it possible for them to hold an assembly and do a presentation?
So I personally am not sure, but I have thought about, I don't know if there's a driver ed program still going on over there. I have actually thought about going and doing a presentation for the driver's ed. Specifically about impaired driving, because that's where my passion is, but at the same time about traffic safety in general.
But at that age, I would assume you mean impaired levels.
So that would be more of a distracted thing. There's a lot of prescription drug stuff, is going on in school right now, and marijuana. Yeah, it's good to get those kids educated on impaired driving and how it can affect them and their families.
Yeah.
So that is a project that I'm thinking about, but I don't know about the assembly part of it. I can talk to our SRO and see if that is an option.
All right, that'd be awesome to hear that.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah,
Gary?
Not much to report on my end. Just curious about the red flex tracking system. That was an interesting review of what goes on in our streets. And of course, a traffic survey on Knight's Bridge would be interesting to see what kind of a flow we've got and how you're going to reroute them. So that was the things of interest that I'd like to bring up and like to review sometime.
Thank you. I think I've done enough talking. So, Clint?
Bob, I have to go to get. So.
All right.
you guys-
Thank you very much.
thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I just like to report and encourage everyone to do this. Thanks to Jerry, I got this input. And, you know, ODOT really owns the highway, as I understand it, between 99 from Canby to Oregon City. And they're responsible for garbage and trash cleanup. Also looked up, it's illegal to camp along those highways. And so I encourage everyone in here to send a nice friendly email to @ODOT and just point out, you know, that you live in Canby, you're very concerned to maintain the trash cleanup along Highway 99E, and that they hold up to the law that it's illegal to camp and have campers along that thoroughfare. And then on another note, so I encourage you all to do that. There, and I would encourage you to be friendly and nice. They're pretty responsive. I'm very disgusted with the Mills site in Oregon City. It looks like a homeless hotel. There's tremendous graffiti in there. And I don't know what's gone on with that project, but it's infuriating to see that just continue to deteriorate, and it's just really frustrating.
That is on a like 10-year plan, last I heard, and that includes tearing it down. It's not gonna be torn down anytime fast.
Can I add to Clint's comments? So, there's a lot of stuff you'll see on social media about the quiet zone. And one of those I want to touch on, that camping along the tracks or on ODOT right away. The train will not blow his horn if there's no safety issues. But if they see anything like a homeless person camping there, any type of another train parked there, or anything like that, they'll blow the horn. So I know you guys see a lot of this on Facebook, and we're getting a lot of heat because the train blows the horn, but they have to if they see that type of stuff. So if we see that, I appreciate Clint saying that we need to get them out of there.
The other thing people just need to know about the quiet zone is the quiet zone only talks about 3 different areas. So a train coming through Pine Street, they still blow their horn. And so you will hear the horn even down to the quiet zone, you're gonna hear it because that horn goes up through. Anyway. Clint, yeah. Clint, can you please send an email?
Oh, yeah.
With the address and things like that, so that anybody, I'll send it to the group so that if you're
Let's
supposed
go down.
Put
Yeah, go down. It's super simple.
It gets it within 24 hours.
okay, so if you send email with the,
Yeah.
we will have it and make sure that you send it out.
For years. Which
Yeah.
I would be curious to see if anybody here does email about the homeless situation to ODOT. I would be curious to see what those responses are, because there was a House bill that passed that basically ties municipalities' hands. We kind of have to let them camp wherever. So all we can do is we can make legislation that kind of regulates time, space, and manner. And everything's complaint driven. So we are actually in discussions about trying to make an ordinance here, or similarly model the one that they have in Gladstone. Because Joe was kind of waiting to see what kind of like language would get challenged, because there's some case law there that ordinances were challenged and the homeless folks won against the governing bodies. So we want to make sure that we have something that's not really challengeable. In the proposed language, we would allow it, say, at the plaza by City Hall, but not in our parks, not in a residential zone. So, for example, the RV that likes to park over on Pine would, right now, currently, it's my understanding, this is hearsay, but I've been told that Carrie just tells them to move every 3 days. But I don't know.
Sort of.
So that's why he's still around. So we're trying to wrap some language around, where they could be and from what time spaces. So we're like from 9:30 PM to 6 AM. Because basically the legislature is telling us we can't criminalize not having a house.
Sure, but something we can tie in is making sure that the ADA access on the sidewalks stays open and available, because, you need to pick a place that isn't going to endanger other people's lives because you're blocking a sidewalk with a person or poop or needles.
ADA language is in there. It was met with some opposition from a particular counselor, so it got tabled to a work session, so we can craft some other language, and it will come back. So I just wanted to throw that out there because I know what you're saying, and so yeah, go ahead and complain to ODOT, but I would actually be curious to see what the responses to you are going forward in this discussion. That might be helpful how they're going to handle things. If I'm able to do that. Thank you.
But anything else? That's it. Thank you. Appreciate it. Jennifer?
So I got a chance to kind of throw out the issue that I've seen is we did get, I believe, all of the painting that needs to happen on 3rd. I couldn't say 100% on 2nd, but since we've added the red fire lanes, people have been regularly parking in front of the yellow painted areas. At the intersection of Grant and 3rd, on what I guess is the east side, northeast side is the most frequent place, but it happens even down at Elm. I don't know why people would see anything painted any color and think that's a good place to park, even when there's other parking available that's clearly not painted, but for some reason it's a choice that people are making. And I don't know what kind of recourse there might be around that. I mean, the only thing that really comes to mind is code enforcement, but I know that they're really strapped, so I don't know if there's anything else that might be a possibility.
Now, so what I hear you saying is cars are parking in the yellow zone?
Yes.
Okay, so,
If you missed it, Bob, the intersections are painted on Grant, I just went out and looked at it, she said that there's a car parked in front of the yellow right now,
okay,
so.
call. The police don't enforce that, the code enforcement.
We can.
Okay,
But the non-emergency.
so call the I would request that anyone who sees that, call the non-emergency number. And either code enforcement or police will respond when they have a chance. But if you don't report it, then nothing happens, but it's not, I'll be truthful, it's probably not gonna be the highest priority, but I know the non-emergency number for the police can be police to respond, okay? So be patient, big city, small police officers, but please call.
And we can encourage neighbors to take a picture too, because sometimes, a lot of times they have California plates, which means they're enterprise. And then sometimes it's like the people who are working on the construction. And sometimes I think it's just random people, but there's definitely some trends to it. Different topic. I wanted to ask, has there ever been any discussion about Southwest 4th over by Burgerville and Safeway and that whole connection up to 99? It's kind of like a 3-way stop with people coming and going off 99, and it's really hairy. And my concern is, as the town grows and we see more and more traffic on 99, which is right around the corner, that it's going to be that much more dangerous. And I don't have any brilliant solutions about what would make it safer. Like restricting people from coming off of 99. Let's say the north part. So there's the little ramp, right? Like if you're on 99 and you're heading east, you can take that kind of like gentle curve down onto 4th. That's simple and easy, and the visibility is good. The concern I have is the direct connection to 99 just west of Burgerville, where you can turn off of 99, taking a hard left, or you can turn onto 99 going left or right. And it's just people have a hard time all stopping and seeing each other coming out of the Safeway Plaza. The people coming on and off of 99 where they're turning directly on and off 99 is just kind of wild. And I'm in that intersection a lot, and I'm just constantly like, okay, I've seen every permutation of a bad choice being made there or poor visibility, but because there just doesn't seem to be a simple solution. So all I would ask in bringing it up is that when you guys are over there, just take it in, watch it, see what you think, see if maybe some kind of ideas come to you, because I have no idea what a solution might be, but I'm concerned about where it is now and where it's going to be going. And just want other people's thoughts on it too, if anybody comes up with something.
Thank you. Jackie?
Because the only concerns that I had was there was that stop sign by the fairground, that was an issue.
What?
The stop sign by the fairgrounds,
Okay.
which was an issue. People kept running it, didn't understand it, don't know why it's there.
Oh, we had a flashing one on the way.
Weird, but it's working.
People, they don't even understand why it's there.
Yeah, that's the intersection that makes me act like Mary Jo does, instead of, I'm like, stop, right? I live right there, and I'm always on the.
I never get over that way very often, but it is kind of a weird intersection. You stop there and then you're not, sure, do I have enough
You're
room?
gonna stop, and then you gotta cross the tracks and stop.
And then I'm like, do I have enough room on the other side? Because I never tried that section.
Yeah.
And then there was a complaint about school buses now on Pine. I guess people are not paying attention to the school bus stopping. I'm sure you guys are all aware that people, I don't know why people think of a school bus as stop that we would drive around it. Like,
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
I
crazy.
Is the
Yeah.
buses have, when the bus stop,
guess they can take
they
pictures.
are they using their flashing?
Yeah, but people are not following a flashing school bus, which is, I mean, it's,
Horrible.
I just don't understand it. Yeah, it's really, there's been more than one complaint about that.
So I thought about putting police officers in a school bus.
Yeah.
Having a car in the area, so that way we can get on the radio and say, hey, this person violated the law, and have the police car come out and stop
Nice.
them. I think
Yeah.
agencies have done that in the past, I just haven't had a chance to try to get.
See how
something set up
effective
to do that.
Keep the kids in mind too.
Yeah, the bus driver like that, the bus driver that day.
He'd be the closest, I just.
That's correct.
And then someone said that we had an attempted car theft in our neighborhood over by Southwest 13th. I don't know. Around the mobile park, a lot of stuff happens over there.
I don't remember anything like that happening. The last one I remember happened in Brett Meyer, and it was just a stolen car.
Oh, okay. So anyway, that's things that are going on in my neighborhood. And then, also I was telling Bob that I volunteered at the county fair at the safety con with ODOT, Clackamas County, and ran into Mr. Sadowski, the county traffic safety.
Yeah, he's come time with me.
Yeah, I worked with him on the opioid task force and then also some other things that I do. And he said that Clackamas County was working on a grant for speeding in the rural towns. And so that Cammy would be a part of that.
Oh, well,
So I volunteered to help with that.
good job. Nice. Thank you.
I looked up and I said, yeah, and also I followed up, remember when he said he needed, that we do that crosswalk video for the county?
Yeah.
So he hasn't anything back yet, I think, November.
Oh.
So I'm still in the loop for that. And my other response from earlier today about the crosswalk, did we reshare the crosswalk video that we did with the county police a couple years ago? Unless the law changed the laws. So I can share that again, because we did that big project. with the county police officer. Yeah,
We should have it.
yeah.
Okay.
It's on YouTube.
We need to talk to the city.
Yeah.
About who's your information officers or
Well, currently Jamie acts in that role, but there'll be some changes, but right now Jamie Stickle is handling our communications.
so maybe you should contact Jamie.
Okay, yeah.
To kind of talk about how we can get that on public access and also even further. So that that addresses
There we go.
a lot of Mary.
Every time I understand.
Mary. Mary Jo's concerns, and I think, okay. Eric,
I covered my subjects.
all right,
Just have a couple other things that I forgot.
yeah, sure.
Real quick, a stop sign, the one that I have issues with a lot at North Ivy and First for traffic going southbound or so right at the corner, where Rickwood's at right there.
Oh, yeah.
If you're going southbound, people are so bad. I've had the chance to talk to people that have stopped and just blew the stop sign. They're always saying,
Oliver, going
Yeah.
towards 99.
right, what the railroad.
I've seen
So,
people do that too.
most people are so focused on the traffic light.
Yes.
Green and they're trying to face the light, they don't even see the stop sign or the
Yes.
flashing sign. And so my only thought about that intersection, this would be an ODOT thing probably, but if you've been through the intersection of Highway 99 at Grim Road, like outside Aurora, they kind of have those where you can't see what color the light is until you get close to it. That might be effective there, but I've seen, because there's the crosswalk there too, and people use that crosswalk all the time, and it's only a matter of time until somebody gets hit at that location.
Yeah.
And most of the people that I stopped that ran it just basically said that they were so focused on the traffic light and not.
I didn't even see it. I saw the light. Yeah.
So, the second part is I'm going to bring it up with my chief as far as, getting us at least one unmarked car to help with traffic enforcement. Because people obviously will stop doing their driving behavior when they see a police car around, but as soon as the police are gone, it seems, they're gonna continue with their behavior. And then the other part was, this might be a question for Jerry, is finding places in the city that, especially on territorial, where there are speeding issues. I find it hard to find places to park to enforce the speed. The places I do find parking spots in, when I'm trying to enforce the speed, there's either bushes that are blocking my view of like my LiDAR unit trying to get somebody's speed. So it's very difficult to find places. I'm not sure if we can make places that we can park at, or
Oh, we don't have to do that, yeah.
And we can make an announcement here on Zoom, to the folks that are watching later on, is if they can offer up their driveways.
I'll be the first to volunteer.
get a sign up list for.
Yeah, give them an emergency number, a call, and offer up, if you have a driveway or a parking lot, that offer up to the police.
Would you please make a list of where you think you need,
Yeah.
so that, we can't we can't force public works or anything like that, but if you give us specifics, then, Jerry and Spencer can start to explore what they can do,
Okay,
Can I follow up on that question of that intersection by Driftway? I don't know what our role could be, but I always feel like we should not be allowed to go across that intersection. Or Driftway or the other way.
Oh, from
East
First
End.
Avenue.
Yeah.
Should be like a right of way out.
I agree, crossing from First Avenue, you cannot speed. You might have to go.
I don't like crossing directly across there.
And I state, are you taking your life in your own?
Going that way right across is like,
It should be like a right turn only on both sides. I would agree. So I don't know what.
I think we had talked about that some time ago and kind of table it because of the quiet zone, so we could.
Yes,
revisit
correct.
That.
And an easy way to defeat that is just make people go down Holly to Second and then go across that four-way stop right there by, it might back that intersection a little bit more, but I don't imagine a ton of people are trying to go across.
There's some people that try to cross from or to go into the grocery, but
Yeah,
there are people that want to come out of the grocery and turn left. Yeah.
yes,
But they're stopped to do that, but the worst is by the side that Oliver's on.
yeah, it's usually not
We're not
a
seeing.
problem, because they stop usually, because the traffic really flows.
They're focused on the line.
a lot of people like coming out of cut sports to take a lap. Like I said, Becky. Yeah,
But it's not cross, because I can't see with the two lanes of that. The crossing from Oliver's to, you cannot see the best horses.
But I think the main problem is that people are not patient. And they're not slowing down, and they just zoom across, they see the green and they want to get there.
Yeah.
And they press the gas.
follow up on that, or we can talk more on that.
Talk more.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll talk more about it, okay?
Cool.
Can I have one question, if it's okay? maybe it's Jerry or, you know. What is, people are confused about the rules on the quiet zone. There's, you have to look, because there's no train order, do people have to stop at the train track to go across, or can it? What are the rules?
I mean, it's the same as,
I mean, there's no water, but the thing coming.
The gate limits, yeah.
Yeah, look,
The loop signs are just to gather the person's attention
Okay.
because the trains aren't. gonna
okay, 'cause people are actually now stopping at the train track through town, looking and then going over, so
Yeah, so it's not required to stop unless the crossing
There's-
lights are.
there was some confusion on that.
And I mean, the buses, all
That's a federal.
But will stop.
they'll stop. But you don't have to, but I still see, particularly a lot of people who have not used common sense and who park, who stop on the tracks. You know, and.
the place is on Redwood. Where you come up and the light is on. There's another light on Redwood, and if it's red, you have to stop on that side of the tracks. And I talked to George before about it, chief, and he said, no, you can go up to the light, but I don't know, he said, be careful, because it could be at the discretion of the officer. But if you look at that, go up there.
Yeah,
and look
we're
at it.
talking about southbound, like for
Yep.
example.
Yeah, and you come up and there's another light over to the right, and it's like, tracks. Some people sit there and then the whole intersection.
Right.
But I think it's legal to cross over.
That's a good question.
But take a look at it, because I would like to know, and George started saying, and I was like, I'm gonna quit out.
That there just because there is a car stop, there's only room for one car.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So that'll keep that red light.
I don't know, take a look at that, and see what you think. I was curious.
People, you engaged in a lot of conversation today that's been very productive. Thank you very much. Sorry, I meant to keep moving along.
There you go.
Or is it? Yeah.
That accident on Lee and Third, the southwest top corner where they have a stop sign, there's a tree there. Can't see the stop sign because the tree needs to be.
Oh, 39 is, but
39 years.
or fourth and ninety. Third and fourth, I've been noticing a lot. That's been a conversation for a while. We need to.
And the other thing is,
So that on the list next month.
Officer Miller, could you get the police report put back into the newspaper?
Oh, yeah, with your neighbors against.
Took it out of there and they didn't put it back. Want to know what the crime.
Yeah,
Sorry if I.
yeah, back in the day, you used to know your neighbor would be, you know, forgot to tell you why.
It might be a structural change because of the combination of it now being the Pioneer Herald.
It might be a decision by the paper. And there's kind of current.
I don't care about the crime in Newburgh.
You know, they combined, the paper conglomerate combined, so they don't have so from here, which I actually I pay attention to.
Gotta take off. Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Thank you, Bob. Yeah. Remember how I was saying, good job of rating everybody. See you there. I remember.
Got this down.
Goodbye.